example, we're going to find where the function is a rational function. So as we can see here, our function given to us is f of x equal to negative 5x plus 1 over negative 2x minus 1. So I think the first thing I would do is maybe work with this function. The first step is always to replace f of x with y. So then we get y equals negative 5x plus 1 over negative 2x minus 1. I think I think the best thing we could probably do is maybe factor out a negative so that we can work with non-negative numbers, especially leading terms, because I always feel like leading terms that are negative is more likely for me to make an error. So I'll take out a negative from the numerator and I'll go ahead and get um, positive 5x and then minus 1 all over, and then let's factor out a negative from the denominator, and then that way I could get in the denominator positive 2x and then plus 1. Because a negative over a negative, those are just going to be positive, right? So now what we have to work with is now we have y equals positive 5x minus 1 and then positive over positive 2x plus 1. So now the second step of finding the inverse after replacing f of x with y is now switch x and y's. So now y now will become x equal to, and then positive 5, and then now we put a y where the x's are. So you're literally like just doing a replacement. You're replacing every y with x and every x with y. And in a moment, we'll see why we do that. So on the bottom, it will be 2y plus 1. Great, because now in the third step is now to solve for y. So this might take a little bit of work, but if we have x equal to 5y minus 1 over 2y plus 1, I think the best thing we could do is clear denominators and multiply both sides by 2y plus 1. So then we get x times 2y plus 1 equal to 5y minus 1. And then at this point, this is where students tend to find it challenging because they see this um, y's on both sides and they have this x here and really do your thing, right? So I will distribute x on this left side to get 2xy plus x equals 5y minus 1. So if I kind of follow my intuition and like get rid of parentheses, distribute the x, I do get some sort of expression on this left side with the x and y, but not to worry because again, our eye on the prize, we're solving for y. So here's the y, here's the y. So what I'm going to do is move all terms with y in it to the left side and everything else will just go to the right side. So when I do that, I get 2xy minus 5y equal to negative x minus y. Now keep your eye on the prize. We want to solve for y. So let's factor out a y from each term. on the left side and get y times 2x minus 5 equal to negative x minus 1. Keep your eye on the prize, so we'll divide each side by 2x minus 5. So here we get y equal to, these reduce out, and we get negative x minus 1 over 2x minus 5. You could also play with the negatives. I know like in my open math, they play with the negatives a little. So you could play with the negatives where you would get like um, x plus 1 in the numerator and then move the negative down in the denominator to get 5 minus 2x. And sometimes they do this again because they don't want leading terms to be negative and it just looks cleaner. However, I think the original of negative x minus 1 over 2x minus 5 is just fine. So the last step, because you want to box it, I know you do, don't box it, because the last step would be to write it in inverse notation. So we need to replace y with f inverse of x, because we never had y, we just used y to help us find the inverse, but we never had y originally. So f inverse of x is equal to negative x minus 1 over 2x minus 5.